This is the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast with Nick Cattles.
Don't forget to download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. Again, that's code CLNS on Prize Picks. You also take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. All right, Greg, before we get to Drake Maye, just a couple of quick hits from Gerard Mayo just a little while ago as we record this on Friday morning. Ramondre Stevenson looks like he's going to be out. Sounds like Harris could get elevated, so that's a note that people should know. Mayo also said there's a shot at Sione Taki being activated and playing this weekend. And then he also said two things I want your thoughts on quickly, that Christian Barmore is progressing and says that he feels better now about Barmore being able to play at some point this year than he did a couple of weeks ago. Just first, your thoughts on Barmore and what Mayo had to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was welcome news. I don't think Gerard was definitive in terms of like now they definitely expect him back. It was more like, the chances are definitely better than they were when this came down. And as I told you at the time, it was sort of like a minimum 3 months him being out with sort of the course of medications that he would go through, and that would bring us to sometime in November. So I guess, everything's going well and he's checking the boxes. And I think we all know that Christian Barmore is a type of guy that they could use up front. I mean, with each passing week, and I think this will be an interesting matchup with the Texans, who, as good as the Texans have been, they haven't really been able to run the ball. And they need to be able to run the ball. And I think on film, teams are seeing that you can run on the Patriots, especially as long as you keep doing it and you stay consistent and maybe wear down Godchow a little bit. So they need Barmore. We know he's one of their best players. They could really use him at some point in time.
The other note I wanted to ask you about from Mayo, because it's something that you talked about in the past, is Cole Strange. And Mayo said that 100% Cole Strange, he could see playing center. He did say that while Strange has been out, he's not been, snapping to any quarterbacks or anything, but just your reaction to Mayo bringing up this idea, or at least being asked about it and confirming that, yes, 100% Cole Strange could be a center option for this football team.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at what they have, and not that it's perfect. They have plenty of guards on this team. I think that Michael Jordan at left guard is a guy that you can argue has been the team's best offensive lineman this season. He's done that well. Some of it was David Andrews slipping a little bit with his injury, and Owenu. Hopefully Big Mike with another week back at guard is a little bit better. I mean, he has been underwhelming to say the least this season, whether it's been right tackle or right guard. And I don't really like his conditioning on film. I think he gets worse as the game goes on. I guess that changes the more you play. But Cole Strange, athletically, no doubt in my mind, it was my evaluation of him coming out of the draft that I was like, okay, he can play guard, but I think he has a chance to be a special center because of his athletic ability. And also with his athletic, he's like the prototype zone blocking center because he can move better than just about any center or offensive lineman I've ever seen. But with him and with him playing center, I'm not worried about him whether physically he can do it. He could definitely do it. And I think it would be a really good match with his athleticism. To me, I think the big question, and I think the team even has questions about this, and this is where he can be working on this right now, is the mental side. Because so much in this offense compared to the old Patriots offense is on the center, being the brains, basically, of the protections of the schemes. Is that a strength for Cole? I don't know. I mean, that's not the book on him, but, who knows? I mean, maybe he's some sort of savant when it comes to that. I don't know. But that's something he can be working on now. He can be, putting on those VR glasses and looking at the protections and calling it out. Like that's where he can be getting reps right now. And I think those are actually the most important reps when it comes to projecting Cole Strange possibly as a center.
All right, let's get to the story of the week. We know what it is. It's Drake Maye. making his first NFL start against the Texans on Sunday. Before your thoughts about expectations, Greg, this weekend for Drake Maye, I first want to ask you about the plan. What kind of changes will there be? Big changes, smaller changes? Are we talking significant here with AVP flipping some stuff around with Drake Maye? What do you think the plan looks like with Maye at quarterback versus Brissett at quarterback if Jacoby was playing on Sunday?
In terms of the offense and the approach?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, what you'll do? Well, what you'll do with Maye himself? What kinds of things? What kinds of plays could you run with Maye? What does he bring to the table that is different than Jacoby that AVP should be taking advantage of on Sunday?
Well, I would say number one is the legs, and I wouldn't if I was scripting a game plan for Drake Maye, I would try to tick off of things that he's very comfortable with. And I sort of talked about this on my solo pod the other day. And I had heard Josh McDaniels talking on Julian Edelman's podcast earlier in the year, because he was asked about Drake Maye and how you handle a young quarterback. And we've seen it in the past with, Josh McDaniels won a game, what was it, 27-0 against an undefeated Texans team with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. And, probably something similar to that. I'm not saying that Drake Maye's not better than Jacoby Brissett was as a rookie. We all know that Drake Maye is uber talented. There's no question about his skills. But you basically as a coach, you say, all right, well, what's in this kid's bucket? What can he do? What's he comfortable with? And let's stay there. And at this time, it might be the size of like a coffee cup, but that doesn't matter. You need to stay there. You don't want to do anything that he hasn't repped. You don't want to do anything he's not comfortable with. And then slowly you add like a little bit, like, all right, he's doing this, but what if we add this? And, hopefully at some point in time, what Maye can do becomes a bucket instead of a coffee cup. But I think if I were scripting the play for Drake, what we've seen that he's comfortable with, I would definitely do, some sort of bubble. I would do some sort of quarterback designed run. I'm not worried about him taking hits on that because he'll know where the blockers are and things like that. I would say that where I think they are going to get a definite advantage is Drake's a bit of a gunslinger. And I think that where Jacoby wasn't effective operating this offense was more sort of like the deep in cuts. Alex Van Pelt loves those. It's similar to a Polk play that he threw in the preseason, the Pop Douglas play, those types of things. Like Drake's gonna be, he likes to throw those, and Jacoby does not. And so I think that the more comfortable Drake gets, I think those types of things, and then the posts, the goes, like Drake's not afraid. Like if it's one-on-one, that dude's going to sling it out there. And I do think that he'll have a positive effect on the offense. I just want to make sure that I let Drake get settled into the game before I start getting too astray.
Offensive line looks like it's going to be starting for the second straight week. The same offensive line, which has not happened this year. Of course, Houston has a ridiculous pass rush. They're number one in pressure rate. They've got Will Anderson, on one end, and they got Danielle Hunter on the other end. Just your two or three highlights, Greg, if you have them, as far as this Patriots offensive matchup versus D'Amico Ryan's defense coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I watching the Texans on film, and sort of, my fear is that these guys are really fast on film, and the Patriots defense, while they have the potential to do a lot of exotic things, they haven't necessarily done those. And I would say that going from facing the Patriots defense and their front seven, which is on the slower side, especially without Juwan Bentley, this is going to be something else. This is going to be the record player, going up a few notches. So I'm a little bit worried about that. I'm obviously worried about the ends because, like you said, those guys are really good. I've been underwhelmed with the way that Alex Van Pelt has dealt with with good pass rushers like Nick Bosa. Like,
Yep.
for me, way too many single blocks. Now you got
Yep.
two of them. Is he going to really take care of that? If I were Drake Maye as the head coach, I would be like, dude, we are putting tight ends on either side, and they are staying in and they are leaking out. We are going to protect our number one quarterback, and it's especially early on in the game. I worry about Van Pelt doing that because I don't think these guys, these West Coast guys, like to do that. They love to get their five out in the route, and I just don't think that's a recipe for success. I worry about that this Texans defense just faced Josh Allen, and you could see their plan on film was they had a really strong pass rush plan against Josh Allen, and that included mixing things up with a spy and things like that. If I'm them and I see the way Drake Maye has played, I'm taking that exact same game plan and I'm putting it right to this game. So not a great matchup in terms of that. You would have liked them play some sort of like Joe Flacco the week before. A stationary pocket quarterback. They just faced a mobile quarterback. That's what they're going to get with sort of Josh Allen light in terms of Drake Maye. And the other thing is the Patriots, they have to run the ball well in this game. I think you can run on the Texans a little bit. I do not want to be throwing at Stingley, the cornerback. So it'll be interesting to see who they match up with. If I'm Drake Maye, I'm being very weary of that. Could be Jalen Polk. I might just eliminate Jalen Polk altogether in the game plan and go to Pop, Hunter Henry, Kendrick Bourne with another week. Those are sort of my thoughts on that.
All right. Before we get to the defense, Greg, tell the good people about Prize Picks.
Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. So I feel better. Last week was not good. I told you I didn't feel good about it. Hopefully, you sat that one out. I feel a little bit better. So this is my lineup this week. Little bummed, no free square, but I am going Drake Maye more than 25.5 rushing yards. I think that's where he's going to make his hay in this game. I do think he's going to make some plays down the field, but those legs are dangerous. I just talked about Polk, but I'm going Jalen Polk more than 22.5 receiving yards. I think that Drake Maye really likes Polk. I think that they'll scheme something up. They'll get, a couple of deep in cuts. Maybe a little bit of a go, but Maye and Polk work well together. This one I don't feel great about, but I think that Pop Douglas is going to find some room underneath more than 33.5 receiving yards. I have Dalton Schultz, the Houston Texans tight end, more than 33.5 receiving yards. I don't love the Patriots safeties, even though Kyle Duggar could be back this week. He got back on the practice field. And CJ Stroud, who does not like to run. He is a pocket quarterback. But I took more than 8.5 rushing yards because I still don't think the Patriots are all that disciplined. I do think that they cover well. I think that they'll cover. And at a certain point in time, CJ Stroud is just going to say, I'm going to take this myself and convert the first down. And I think he's going to hit on that. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game.
All right, let's jump to the defense. My first question to you is, the Patriots, they seem like they have the talent and they play man pretty well, but they haven't played man as much as they played last season. So they've been leaning on zone. When you look at CJ Stroud, Stroud's done well against man so far this year. Are you playing man or are you playing zone? Will you, of course you'll play both, but will you ramp up the man numbers, Greg, in this matchup? Or do you like sticking with the, 65-70% zone plan?
Yeah, I want to go more man. I think the Patriots can really cover well. I mean, outside when Marco Wilson's out there, but Christian Gonzalez has been really good. He was really good against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle last week. The Texans don't have Nico Collins this week. They just put him on IR, which is huge. He was the leading receiver in the league.
Yep.
They have Diggs, they have Tank Dell, they have Hutchinson, but Diggs isn't the same Diggs, and Jonathan Jones has a lot of experience against this guy. Not great, but Diggs isn't the same guy. I'm blanketing these guys. I am. I'm going back old school. Stroud's really good, but right now, when I look at the Patriots, the strength of their team right now is in their pass coverage. And I think that they need to play into that. And maybe that'll free up the ability to blitz a little bit more. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
All right, you're DeMarcus Covington. You're getting the game plan together this week. You're looking at the Texans offense. 2 or 3 things, Greg, that you're highlighting walking into this matchup.
Well, I say, the big thing is I think the Texans are really going to try to run the ball. They haven't been able to run the ball very well. Their offensive rushing EPA is 29th in the league. Their pass EPA is 8th. But I do think that Houston needs to run the ball, especially without Nico Collins out there. I think they're a different beast. So, I really want to be better against the run. And I think that, Stroud's a special guy. You got to stay alive with your coverage. He goes to a lot of second windows. Again, he doesn't like to run, but he will run to find an opening to throw. He's mobile that way. And, Tank Dell's a guy, who knows, we might see Mechie a little bit more this week for the Texans. He's a guy who really hasn't gotten on track there for them. But Stefon Diggs is the go-to guy. I'm probably doubling him on third down. He really likes Dalton Schultz as well. But making sure you also take care of Tank Dell.
Yeah, the run game, 24%. 24th in run rate. So they haven't run the ball a ton. And when they run the ball, 30th in success rate in the league. So that's, not good. And their run block win rate, their offensive line is 28th in the league when trying to run the football. So they've had some issues up front. Succeeding in making those blocks that they've needed. All right, we're going to get into the pick in a minute, but first, Greg has to tell you about our friends at Game Time.
It's that time of year. It's getting cold outside. That means it's football. And you got to get out there. You got to enjoy the game. Pro or college, you got to go check out all the games. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Love the all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Got the seat views, get a panoramic view on your seat. I was just checking out Texans Patriots. You want to be there to see Drake Maye, the start. You want to be there in person to be like, I was there to see Drake Maye's first start. Go on Game Time. I was just checking it out. You can get in for under $100.
Wow.
So make sure you go check it out. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time.
Don't forget, of course, Greg and Giardi doing great work at BSJ, $50 for the year. You want to check them out at Boston Sports Journal. And we told you about Prize Picks earlier. I'll tell you again, check out that Prize Picks app. Code CLNS, get $50 instantly when you play $5. All right, Greg, this week's pick, I'm 3-2 on the season against the spread. I believe you're 2-1 against the spread.
Mm-hmm.
We are both 3-2 straight up. That Miami game hurt us last week. They should have won that damn game.
Yep.
But let's look at the Texans matchup here and the pick and the numbers. Texans, I saw it yesterday. FanDuel, maybe you have it differently. I had it 6.5. Do you have 6.5?
Yep. Yeah, I have 6.5.
All right, so I've got Texans minus 6.5, and the over/under is 37.5. Greg, give us your pick.
So I do think they're going to get a Drake Maye bounce. I think they are going to make plays. I think Drake's going to make a couple with his arm. I think he's going to make more than a few with his legs. I think they're going to up the total. I think they are going to score some touchdowns. I do think that, Drake Maye's probably going to turn the ball over a time or two. I worry about fumbles, getting hit. And also the Texans just fooling them. I mean, D'Amico Ryans, their defense, they do a lot of shit on third down. And this is where this is going to be different from college and what he saw in the preseason. And I do think there's going to be some confusion. I do think he's going to throw to the Texans once, but I do think it's going to be fun. It's going to be adventure. I think they're going to stick for a while. I do think without having Collins, I do think that's going to affect the Texans and make this game a little bit closer. But I have the Texans 30-17 in this game, so I like them to cover.
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned about the turnovers as well. I do think Drake will have 1 or 2 turnovers. I'm concerned about the Ramondre Stevenson injury. Doesn't look like he's going to play this weekend. So now you're down to Gibson and Hasty and Harris. So, what does that look like? We know Alex Van Pelt didn't want to run the football against bad run defenses when he had Stevenson out there. I don't know what the hell he's going to do on Sunday without Stevenson. Your guess is as good as mine. I like the Texans 27-17. I would take those Texans minus the 6.5, and let's see what the math is. That's the over, right? 27-17 is 44 points, I believe. So both Greg and I have the over 37.5. All right, that'll do it, everybody. It should be a fun time this Sunday. Some chaos, I'm sure, but it's the start of a new era with Drake Maye out there. Greg and I will be back early next week to recap how Drake looked and how the game went. Until then, everybody, enjoy your football weekend and be well.